Hey, Fitzy here, back at it again with another one. Got a turbo car here, needs a Fender dump put in it. Stick around, I'll show you how I do it. Here's what we got. Okay, we got a Fender dump. This is a turbo car, and what we're running into is we got to make a cutout for the exhaust pipe. So some problems you may run into, you can probably turn around and start marking this out. This is on a bit of an angle. It's a bit tricky to do. What I did is all I went and did is I measured a few measurements, roughly cut out a hole so I can get the fender lined up. Because there's no good in cutting this hole here and trying to get it just so and she's not lined up on the car. And it can run into troubles. A lot of times you see fellas who just cut big holes and be done with it and that's it. But I'm trying to do a nice job on this, trying to have it half tight on the pipe. So I cut a large hole out, and then what I went and did is I went and lined up my fender, so I got lots of room there. So the next thing, so now that I got this fitting, this is not touching nowhere, and everything's out of the way, now I can start working on making a piece to go in there. Okay, here's all I went and done, is I took a piece of paper, and I cut a piece of paper out, so again, it's bigger than the panel, and all that type of stuff, and it's bigger than the hole. It comes up to here, and it's going to overlap to here, and it's going to stick out there, and all I went and did is I turned around, and I went and trimmed it, and cut it, and everything, so I got to close to the shape that I wanted, and it fit there. Now, as you can see, that patch is a lot bigger than what the fender is. So, but I have a nice cut edge all the way around the fender dump. So what we need to do now is, now that I got this made, all I'm going to do is transfer this on the steel and cut this out. So let's go over the bench and I'll show you how I did that. Here's that pattern that I marked out, and all I did is I just cut a small hole out of a piece of cardboard and just start trimming it back and cutting it until it fit nice, and I liked it. Don't mind these pencil marks, they were from another project that I done. They had nothing to do with this here. So all I got done is, after I done this, is I transferred it over onto a piece of steel, right? Like so. The steel I cut out, as you can see, was bigger than the piece. And then I just turned around and I just cut the center out of it. First thing I did is I chopped out the center with a grinder outside my marks. Then I went around and I trimmed this around here with a set of tin snips. That's all I did. Just cut that out of the way, right? Then I went around here and I die grind it and just cleaned it up and just kept test fitting it on the car and going back and forth, test fitting it and getting it so this here is to where I liked it. So now I got this panel made, which of course this is made from that roof skin that I had that was kicking around. So there's a bit of a crown panel to it going both ways, and it's got a nice bit of strength to it. Flat steel, again, you will find that it'll be a little bit wobbly at times. So, okay, there's our piece that we cut out. I went and dressed all this up and got everything fitting. As you can see, it's a large hole. This is bigger than everything else, so I'm just going to fit that on here. And one of the advantages of doing it this way here is I can move it around. The biggest problem you got when you're trying to make these cutouts is trying to get the precise measurement, because this fender is out of alignment and it has to be lined up and whatnot. I got the fender lined up exactly where it is. Now, you could have made this here and it would have been over here more, or it would have been over here more if you had to cut it right into the fender. Doing it this way here is that I got this now set up that I can move this around and put it where I want. So I can take this here now and just position this where I think it looks the best, like so. And then all I got to do is start trimming it back till I'm happy with it. So I know this is the fender here and the fender here. I don't need that and I won't need that. And then this one here will cut in here. So all I'll do then is I'll figure out this piece here to make a patch panel for it. Alright, we got them rough measurements. I got a ruler here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this out now, so that I'm going to make a square box out of it, or a straight edge of it. I know roughly where that got to go. Roughly where that got to go. Yeah, no, I marked that there. In here. Cut that off there. I'll mark that here. As you can see now, I got it all marked out. It's shaped like the fender now. It's bigger and everything. I like trying to keep it out closer to the edge of the fender so that makes for less warpage. You try to keep it in tight this distance here. When it gets out closer to an edge, you'll find there'll be less warpage. Cut that out. There's our little panel. Clean up the edges now in the back and go over for a test fit. Alright, we got our piece all cut out here. We just got test fit it placed here. As you can see now, it's fitting around the panel better. We'll size up the distance around it. Move it around as we're happy with it. As you can see, now it's not exactly fitting right. So we got to shape this now so it fits better. You can see that's where that's got to go. Now let's tack weld that on and start cutting and button. I have it all fit in there. The tack weld in place is overlapping again. I got a nice seam all the way around this now. I like the way that looks. So it fits the fender nice. So now I just got to go back and start cutting all these and tack welding it in and fitting it in behind. Now every now and again you'll start cutting. If you go too far, this is what will happen. The panel will fall in. So I got to catch it here before it goes too far. again, you'll see me go back and you'll see me cut another weld again. I didn't like the way it fit, so I just cut it off. I had to let go of the bottom of the fender to get that out. Here's the piece I cut out. There. Well, looky here. Look what I got done. I found out when I got into the panel here, I realized there was a rust hole here. You've probably seen it from the angle there. You've probably seen a small rust hole here. Well, this section right here was thin in this corner. I managed to get it welded, but when I went to go grind it, it didn't go right. And of course then, as I was grinding it, I ended up running thin over here. So, like the piece I got welded in runs right through the center of this basically, right? So I turned around, I said, no, okay, I'm going to cut it out, put another piece in there. It do happen. I'm far from perfect. So you do have times where you will have addressed other issues. It's not so straightforward and simple. So now I just got to go make a piece now to fit here and weld that in. Perfect. Nothing fancy. With a hammer. Oh, bless it. Other body hammers over there. Weld it in there now. How not to use your body hammer. Well, that all in there now. Alright, I got this welded up again. What's on the go here now is this is after going high. I'm in this area here now, so I'm going to have to haul the fender off to fix that. So it's never the easy way of doing things. Also, for some reason, this is after closing up here, and I can't figure out why. I've had to readjust the fender a few times, and when I put that gap back there, it's too big of a gap here. So now I'm going to have to go in and I'm going to have to trim this to make this fit right. So I'm going to mark this now to where I want it, and take the fender off the car and do the rest of the repairs off the car and bolt it back on. It's a lot better to work on. A lot easier to work with on the bench. I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to grind that out. You come across these discs and they got stickers on the back. Remove the discs. That can cut you bad. While I got the fender off, it's a good time now to inspect the back of it here, and because it's a structural place, this is going to be vibrating, and down here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to weld all this inside here. You can see where I welded the patch in it. I went ahead, you saw me, I trimmed off that end piece. We don't need the inner fender well splash guard bolt hole, so I removed some weight from the car. I had to cut this section out of the inner structure of the fender. I'm not going to do nothing with it, because again, it's a race car. Well, it's a street race car. Street car is going to be used on the street, so we're trying to do a nice job on it. So I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to weld all these up and clean it up. Same process as before, inch apart. I'm putting 2 beads on it though, because I'm on the inside and all the strength is here. If you want to use one bead, by all means do it that way. Got it all welded up. I never got inside this edge because it's on behind this here, so but it'll be fine. Now all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to knock the head off of this. I'm not going to grind it down smooth or nothing. I like to leave most of the welding on the inside to give it strength. And so I'm just going to grind all this down in here now. This is all I did. I just knocked the head off it. It's still like high in places and all the way around there. I never took much of it off. I left it there for the strength. Now I got to flip it over and dress the other side up. As you can see, the penetration went right through to the back side there. A couple of spots I found weak spots. I blew holes in them, welded them up. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to grind it off with that. After fitting it a few times, I finally got it under, bolted on, happy with it there now, best kind. A nice gap on the door here, nice gapping around here, just got to be trimmed off, so I'm not worried about that. Jordan's going to do that, that's the owner of the car. A lot of you might have noticed this down here. There was a rocker installed on this car, and it wasn't a good job done. I have 2 new rockers going on it, so don't panic. You see all this mess in here. I'll have that. I'm going to address that. That'll be in another video. But that's it for this one. Cleaned up all the edges. Now, on the inside of this here, after I grind everything off, you have asked about what to do inside of it. What I usually do is I'll end up painting inside here before I put the panels. This fender's going to be off this car a number of times since, and before we put it on for the final time, we're going to end up painting in here all the welds, because we have to weld a bunch of stuff on this, or Jordan has anyway. So we're going to finish this one up here and move on to another project. Anyway, I hope the tips were good, you enjoyed it, and until next time.